Okay, so we are going to break down lesson 3 from our equations topic, solving multi-step equations part 2. In these problems, we have a couple extra steps before we boil it down to our two-step equation. We have to make sure if there are parentheses that we distribute, and if there are like terms on one side of the equation, we want to be sure to combine them first. So starting with problem 1, I'm going to draw my line down the equal sign. I'm going to say, okay, do I see any parentheses on the left-hand side? No. Don't have to worry about the right because it's just a singular number. Do I see any like terms on that left-hand side? And that answer is yes. Negative 4y and 6y. Now, remember, because they're on the same side of the equation, we're going to simplify them and just simply combine like terms with the same operation that's present. We're not moving anything over, so we don't do the opposite. We're doing same side, same operation that you see. So we're going to do negative 4y plus 6y, which will give us 2y. There is nothing that will combine with that 5, so I'm going to bring it down. And it equals 25. Now, right from there, we boiled it down to a two-step equation. So now we're going to go ahead and do part 1 of solving multi-steps, and we're going to isolate our 2y, our variable. We need to get everything out of over to the other side that's not in the box. So I need to get rid of that plus 5. And remember, the opposite of plus 5 is minus 5. Now, if I do that opposite operation on one side, I need to do the opposite operation on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 5 because we're moving it over. So remember, over means opposite. I'm going to bring down that 2y. 25 minus 5 is 20. And now last but not least, that is 2 times y. So the opposite of multiplying by 2 would be dividing by 2. So if I want to get y all by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And that's going to leave me with y equals 10. So that's our first problem. Number 2, we do see parentheses, and we see a number glued directly in front. So we're going to want to distribute that. I'm going to draw my line down the equal sign. That we're going to multiply everything in parentheses by 1/2 each individual term. So we're going to have 1/2 times x, and 1/2 times 4, which is really 4 divided by 2, which will leave us with 2. And that's going to equal 7. From here, we don't have any like terms on that left-hand side to combine. So we're ready to isolate our variable. So I put my variable in the box, the 1/2 x. So I need to get rid of that plus 2, and to get rid of it, I need to do the opposite operation. So I'm going to subtract 2, and if I have to move it over, I'm going to do the opposite on the other side as well. I'm going to bring down that 1/2 x. 7 minus 2 will leave us with 5. And now remember here we are doing 1/2 times x. So we want to get in the habit of multiplying by that reciprocal of that fraction, which would be 2/1. It's not wrong to divide by 1/2, but multiplying by the reciprocal, if you have to do it without a calculator, it saves you a little bit of work of dividing fractions. That will go to 1 on that left-hand side, just leaving us with x. 5 times 2 is 10, divided by 1 is just 10. Okay? Moving right along to number 3 and 4. I'm going to draw my line. Okay, down the equal sign. I have a lot going on in this problem. So first and foremost, I do see parentheses, and the number directly in front is a negative 3. So remember, I can't combine 8w minus 3. First of all, they're not like terms. And that negative 3 is with those parentheses, so I'm going to want to distribute. And that 8w comes along for the ride. So here's where some of our skills from our first topic, algebraic expressions, where we practiced distributing and combining like terms, that's where that comes into play. Negative 3 times w is negative 3w, and negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Got to squeeze that in there. Didn't leave myself enough room. And on the right-hand side, we have 30. Now looking at that left-hand side, it's not ready for a two-step equation yet. There are still like terms on that left-hand side. So they're on the same side of the equal sign. So we're just going to combine them as we see them. We're going to simplify using the same operation that's present. So 8w minus 3w will give us 5w. And I will bring down the minus 15. Okay. Now we have it down to a two-step equation. So I'm going to put my 5w in a box. We need to move over that minus 15. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add 15 to each side. Bring down my box. 30 plus 15 gives us 45. And then that says 5 times w, so the opposite of multiplying is to divide. Okay. And that's going to give us w equals 9. All right. Moving right along to question number 4, draw my line down my equal sign. I do not see any parentheses here, but I do see some like terms on that left-hand side. And in this case, the like terms aren't the things with the variable, but the constants. So this 12w, I'm just going to bring down, and then I have 10 minus 3. Now it's up to you if you want to do that 10 minus 3 first and write 7 and then bring down that plus 12w, or 12x, I'm sorry. That's perfectly okay. I also always like to write the variable first, and because that's a positive 7, that would become plus 7. So if you want to write it like I did over on the right, that's okay as well. It equals 67. Okay, so now I'm going to put my 12x in the box. I need to get rid of that positive 7, and that 7 is being added on that left-hand side. So the opposite of adding 7 would be to subtract 7. And if I do that on the left, I need to do it on the right. So that gives me 12x equals 60. And now that says 12 times x. So the opposite of multiplying by 12 would be to divide by 12. And since I'm trying to move that 12 over, I'm doing the opposite operation, right? And so I do that on both sides, and I get x equals 5. All right, last two. You're doing great. Okay. Number 5, we do have parentheses. I'm going to draw my orange lines for both of them. And that's technically like a -1 is in front of that. So it's saying -7 minus -1 times the quantity, 2x plus 4, and then there's that plus x. So I'm going to distribute that -1 first, but remember it only goes to the things in parentheses. It would be wrong to do 7 minus 1 and call that 6 first. Remember that -1 is glued outside of those parentheses, so we have to shatter that first. So here I'm going to bring down the 7, and here I'll bring down the x. So that's going to be 7 minus 2x. -1 times 4 will give us -4. So remember, we just write -4 instead of plus a -4. And then we'll bring down the x and that 15 on the right-hand side. Now, looking for like terms, we have our x's. We have 2 sets of like terms. And then we have our constants. Sorry, I was looking for a different color. Okay, So remember, we're combining like terms on the same side. So we're just going to do the same operation, simplify. We're not moving anything over, so we don't do it on both sides. So we have negative 2x plus, remember there's like a 1 in front of that. That's going to give us negative 1x when we add them. And then 7 minus 4 is going to give us a positive 3, so I'm going to write plus 3. And that entire thing will equal 15. So now I'm going to put that negative 1x in a box, okay? And to get that box by itself, the opposite of plus 3 is to subtract 3. And if I subtract 3 on the left, I need to subtract 3 on the right. I bring my box down. 15 minus 3 will give me 12. And then I'm going to divide both sides by that negative 1. That's negative 1 times x. So to undo that multiplication, I need to divide both sides, which is going to leave me with x equals negative 12. Alrighty, last problem. Number 6, we have parentheses. So remember, we're going to take care of those first. We're going to distribute that 2 because that's saying 2 times that quantity, 2x plus 3. So 2 times 2x will leave us with 4x. 2 times 3 will leave us with 6. Now this minus 7x we're just going to bring down, and this plus 5 we're just going to bring down. And that's going to equal 23. Alrighty, once again, we do have 2 sets of like terms. So we're going to say, okay, 4x minus 7x, those are like terms. And then we have 6 plus 5, our constants, those are like terms. We're not doing anything with the right-hand side. We're boiling down our left-hand side to be as simplified as it can get. So 4x minus 7x will give us negative 3x, okay? And 6 plus 5 will give us a positive 11, and that's going to equal 23. Now I put that negative 3x in a box, and now I'm going to move over that plus 11. So to get rid of it, to move it to the opposite side, I do the opposite operation, which is minus 11. And to keep it balanced, we have to do it on both sides. So I'm going to have negative 3x on the left equals 12. And then last but not least, that says negative 3 times x. There's no plus or minus between that negative 3 and x, so that tells us they're being multiplied together. So I'm going to do the opposite operation to move over the negative 3. The opposite of multiplying by negative 3 is to divide by negative 3. So we divide both sides by negative 3, and we're left with x equals negative 4. So hopefully you found that helpful. If you needed some extra guidance on the U-tries, keep up the great work. And I can't wait to keep going with our equations topic. Great job.